All right, take two. I had a technical difficulty. I'm Tyler Price, and I have Colter Hansen, my good buddy, that has done cool stuff. He's built businesses, he's sold businesses, he's got stuff in American pump and drilling, cherry glass, real estate. You're creating a network of real estate investors. But yeah, how about that? We're gonna get the car going, but
setting the bar high here, Tyler. But so really, I believe that the deal of a lifetime comes around but once a week.
Once a week, yeah.
So, and approaching life that way is, it's really an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
There are so many opportunities out there. I can't simply tackle all of them myself. And so the collaboration that I have, whether it's, with the people that I get to work with and I'm privileged to work with in the businesses, American Pump and Drilling and Cherry Glass and Aluminum, or it's in real estate, I want to get to know more people. And if I can have an influence, I want to. I want to share that.
And I've been to a couple of your events because sometimes people don't have that abundance mentality, because you're putting together a network of people to come together. And even yesterday when we were there, and I don't know, there's like 40 people, it seemed like, probably.
Yeah.
And you're all looking at some of the same deals, right? So there's some competition at some level. So yeah, most people are not, I guess, as willing to, hey, let's put a group together and talk about this, because they want to hold on to all that for themselves, right? So,
well, and I'll just, go back at the very early days of my investing career. That was 16 years ago when I started looking at and buying real estate. And I thought I was going to solve all the problems all by myself, right? I was going to get all the deals. I was going to, retain as much of equity as I possibly could. I didn't have to pay much in interest or whatever my solution was. I thought that it was all me.
Right.
And that was a scarcity mindset. It's like, I'm going to hold it all to what I can do, but it also limited my ability to get as many deals done as I had the potential to do.
Right.
And I have conversations with guys that are, they're 10, 15 years younger than me. They're starting where I started.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you can do in 5 years what it took me 15, 16 years to do.
Yeah. No, and it was interesting in that group yesterday, because the group was trying to solve a problem for somebody that wasn't even there that day, right?
Yes, they were.
So it just lends itself to, hey, there's enough work out there. Why don't we all just kind of work together, get another set of eyes on things? And it just, I don't know, you did a great job hosting that meeting and leading it. And it was just like people that there was a lot of learning going on too, because I think one of the things that you really bring to it is, hey, there's more than one way to get this deal done, right? You bring a lot more than just that. But what about real estate? Why is that kind of, seems like that maybe is a little more of your focus right now? Is that fair to say? Because some people are thinking, oh, real estate's not a good place to be right now. What's your opinion on that? And then why real estate? Or however you want to do it.
Yeah, so there's always some level of focus that I have on real estate. And that's where I started cutting my teeth as an entrepreneur. And I was doing big international projects for big companies, and I'm a CPA actually by education, licensed, and so I love the numbers behind it. And I really, for anybody, you got to fall in love with the numbers before you fall in love with the deal.
Right.
Whether you're buying a business or you're buying real estate, dude, you have to dig into, are the numbers actually going to pay?
Right.
Because I can look outside and look at this house and be like, hey, you know what? That's a cute house. I could own that.
Yeah.
Right? But maybe I shouldn't.
You're right.
Because it's overvalued by $20 or $50 or $100,000, and it just doesn't make sense. Or I don't like this busy road, or what have you. So for me, it's fall in love with the numbers before you fall in love with the deal. But why real estate? Why business? Business is a way, really, to influence a lot of people's lives. I love the employees that I get to work with.
Right.
And when I say I work with them, is I want to get to know their families. Like last week, we had Christmas parties for the two companies, and I loved, everything that we got to do there.
Yeah.
I actually bring tradition, which was my grandpa Horsley. he would bring a cash jar around Christmas time, and there'd be like $100 bill somewhere stuffed
in that
there.
cash jar.
There'd be a couple of 50s, and there'd be some 20s and 10s, 5s, 2s, and 1s, right? Well, there were a lot more 1s than there were $100 bills.
Right.
But we were chasing that $100 bill, and what we did last week was everybody got to dip in this money jar like Grandpa Horsley did. And, being able to bring some of the family experiences that I've had and implement that into a business that I care about and people that I care about, and getting to know their kids. Like, we get to provide a lot of jobs, and they're satisfied with the culture and the environment, and they come to work every day, and I want to create that environment where they want to be there.
Yeah, they want to be there.
And so from the standpoint of, like, you can make money in business, but it's a misconception. A lot of employees think that the average business is making 37% in profit.
Yeah.
Where in reality, they're making between 6 and 10%.
Yeah.
And so that misconception can really skew the mindset of, an employee to say, oh, well, the owner's just getting so rich, right?
Yeah.
But what it is to me, it's my responsibility to retain those profits and be the best steward over those to protect both the business and the profits and where they can go. And that's what I really love about real estate. Is real estate from a long-term standpoint is a good wealth retention mechanism.
Right.
Real estate really can become boring because you invest your money there, and the idea of passive income is kind of
exciting,
misnomer,
right?
in my opinion.
Yeah, because there's always something going on, right?
Yeah, there's always something going on. Larry in our meeting yesterday is like, oh, I was always working, I was always taking care of my properties, and I love that. Like, he was involved and knew everything about his properties.
Yeah.
I love to hire people to do certain jobs because they're better at it than me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Ethan and Sam are awesome at First Stop Property Management, and they take care of me.
Right.
And that's just one more person I get to work with.
Right.
And it provides good business to them, and that's just another positive for me to be able to be a part of one more business.
Right. Yeah, but maybe coming back to that point of, people look at business owners, you're making all this money, but we're the last to be paid, right? Anyway, the list goes on and on. But we do it because hopefully it is about the people and the relationship, because our employees and those are our biggest asset, right? And at times liability, but
Yeah, I love a good satisfied customer because of our employees, and it's been incredible over the last few years to be able to get the letters with the invoices and the check paying the invoice from a customer saying, hey, you know what, your guys showed up, they were professional, I loved their responses, and them being able to explain to me what I was dealing with and why I was spending, whether it was $500 or it was $5,000,
right,
or $50,000, they were able to deliver on what we promised when the customer decided that we needed to come out.
Yeah.
And that's satisfying for me. But the payroll, that's no small deal.
Boy, that was always our biggest expense. So by a big number. So you like numbers, though, speaking of numbers, and you put together kind of a spreadsheet that really takes, in my opinion, the guesswork out of it, as long as the data going in is in the ballpark or 100% accurate, right?
You bet.
So what is it about that? Because you said something, don't fall in love with the deal, fall in love with the numbers. So
yes.
So is that something that you share with people, that spreadsheet, or how do you use that spreadsheet other than when you're sitting around plugging in numbers?
Yeah, so if people want to get access to some of the resources that I have, I've got a couple of spreadsheets, one that's going to be focused on the long-term hold, another one that's going to be focused on fix and flips, and then a couple of like checklists that people should be looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to share that with them. So, like if you want to get corny about the video, like comment below that I want your spreadsheets, whatever. But really, like, I want to share those because the last thing that I want to hear is that somebody has lost money on a deal, because there's a lot of resources out there, and I can introduce you to 3 groups right now that I believe are helping people make better decisions in real estate, and especially when it comes to investing. So those would be ones that I would love to introduce you to, get involved in. But in addition, like resources like spreadsheets, you have to become the CFO of your own business, the CFO of your investment decisions. And if you don't have the tools to become that person, then you have to hire somebody to do it, and then it becomes a bigger barrier of you being able to make good investment decisions, because you don't want to drop $500 to be like, hey, can you help me analyze this deal, Mr. CPA that is qualified to do this? I don't want to pull that trigger very often, or I want to be really careful about how many times I do it, because it just becomes so costly. Right.
No, it was interesting, because you plugged in some numbers on a certain deal, and then the guy next to me was over there on his calculator punching them in, and sure enough, because he was looking at that, I go, I don't know if that's right, and then he was sitting there doing it, and bam, I was just sitting there, no, that's right, trust me. but you got to know the numbers, right?
Yeah. Well, you have to know the numbers. We also have to simplify it to a degree to where it isn't such a big barrier of entry to be able to make a decision, right? So if I can take my spreadsheet and I can reduce the analysis down to me finding 5 or 6 data points that allow for me to say this is a deal or this is a no deal, and then be able to ask further questions as to why is it a deal, and maybe spend some time on why isn't it a deal, because then I can balance those out, and then I can make offers that make sense to make sure that deal is actually a deal, because I really think it comes down to averages. And in sales, right, if for every 10 no's you get 1 yes, right, and then that's kind of a thing that's been thrown out there. Well, for me, I look at 100 properties, I analyze 10, I make offers on 2 to 3, and I close on 1. Right. And so if I can get an analysis done on 1,000 potential properties, or then that means that, what are my multiples here? That means that I have seen 10,000 properties. But I can probably close on between 10 and 30 properties. So if I can scale that, or if I can scale my ability to see more and understand more of the potential in many properties, now I'm not coming down to the bias of only having one potential deal that I might make a mistake on. Right.
And what do you see, because you've been around for a minute, and you're in these groups and you see other investors and you interact with them, what do you see maybe one of the bigger mistakes that people will make as they're first getting into real estate investing, or maybe even that you've made?
I think the biggest mistake that a person can make is to not get educated on why you're making the decisions you are in making an investment, right? Like, what is it? 95% of people, the biggest financial decision they'll ever make is buying their own home. Right? So what is it that makes that next financial decision of buying their their first rental property or their first investment? That's a big deal. And if they don't understand what it is that they're getting themselves into, like, guess what? Tenants are going to knock holes in the walls. Their dogs are going to
make messes on the carpet.
On the carpet. They're going to scratch on the door frames and on the door jambs, and it's going to cost you, if you don't put the right tenant in place, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars to turn that over. If that happens every year, you're not making any money. And so when I think about the mistakes that people make is, like, get educated. Find other people that are educated so that you can make good buying decisions.
Well, and I think you've kind of hit on something too. Don't fall in love with the deal, right? Because sometimes if you're sitting there making excuses as to why you should do a deal, or really trying to say, oh, but that's definitely a red flag. So
what do they call that? sunk cost.
Yeah.
Right. So if you get invested into a deal from a time or an emotional standpoint, we're afraid of the sunk costs now just being sunk and lost.
Yeah.
Right. So if I've spent 10 hours on analyzing a deal and spending time there, and maybe I've dropped $500 on being able to, on a property inspection, plus now I've done a $500 appraisal. Well, I didn't come back appraised the way that I want, but I still want the property, so I'm going to drop an extra 30 grand into the down payment.
Yeah.
Simply because I want the deal.
Right.
I might not be making the right decision.
Yeah. Right.
And so I think that sunk cost, or that fear of loss, like it's way less expensive for you to say no to a deal after dropping $1,000 on it and walk away from the $200,000 decision than it is for you to move forward with the $200,000 decision just because you were afraid of losing the $1,000.
Yeah.
And because there's a time when you might just need to say this isn't the right one.
Right. So if people want to start joining, because your group has, I went a few months back. I went to, I think maybe the first one or one of the first ones, and there was a solid 15 people there, but it's grown and it's growing, right?
Yes.
So how do people find the group and come be a part of it?
So next month, January 29th at noon, we're going to be meeting at BBSI, and so we'll be meeting from noon until 1:30. It's really pretty simple. It's Real Estate Mastermind. So we got really creative about the name.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that, we really pinned that
You really
one down.
thought that one through. You went to ChatGPT and that's what it came back with.
And so Investor 360, it's actually Invest RE 360, is another thing, it's an attachment of like a brand around the Real Estate Mastermind. And the attachment of that is, I would really like to see every person that comes into that group buy at least one property every single year until the end of time.
Right.
Like, and that was one of the goals that I set early on in my career. And I set it actually in 2008. I bought my first property in 2009. And I was able to buy and have been able to buy one property and or one business up to 40 units in a single year, every year since 2009. And it's been the greatest blessing of my life, especially as of recent, as I start to see a house get paid off, or some of the benefits come from that, is the consistency and the discipline that it took to hit that goal every single year. It just amplifies itself. And I'll get nerdy about some numbers, if that's all right. If a person will buy one property every single year on an average purchase price of $150,000, which those are still available in the U.S., and they buy one of those every year for the next 15 years, and they hold them until year 20, they'll have a $4 million portfolio.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
That's life-changing money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you think about the power of, just that consistency and delivering, to yourself on the goal that you set for yourself, that's one that I would encourage. So Investor 360 is invest in real estate every 360 days. I know that that's not how many days are in a year. Thank you. But at the end of the day, I really think it's powerful to set goals and know what you're chasing after, and then go and spend, if it takes you all 12 months, go chase that deal.
Yeah. Well, and I will definitely endorse what you're doing, and just say, like, for people, I think fear is some of it what keeps them held back a little bit, and I think you're helping to alleviate. You're not guaranteeing anything, but I think just the fact that someone can come and interact with that group. There's a lot of different people doing different things in that group, from money to, an agent like me to people that are specializing in the the lots, right? That we were talking about the deal, trailer parks, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just the flips. I mean, there's just a lot going on, right?
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on mobile home parks. It was part of the discussion
That was part
yesterday.
of the discussion yesterday. Yep.
I've mostly focused on multifamily real estate and single-family stick builds. But I want to come back and I know that we're going to wrap up here, but you talked about fear. Fear is a real thing. But I love the acronym false evidence appearing real. Yeah. Right? Like, does fear exist? Yes, it does. But this false evidence appearing real is something that we can overcome. Yeah. And when we can obtain the knowledge and we can find people that we like and trust and that we can surround ourselves with, we can dissipate that fear very quickly. And I really think that it's powerful to mastermind. And there's some other statistics. And I'm a geek. I love these numbers, right? But they say that, let's see, it's 95% of people don't reach their goals. But they say that 92% of people that set their goals and they find themselves in a mastermind, sharing those goals with those in a mastermind, 92% of them will reach their goals. And that's what...
So everyone should be... I mean, that number should increase, right? I mean, instead of it being really boiling down to 5% of the people are accomplishing this because of being held accountable, because of getting other sets of eyes on it and setting goals, right? So.
Yeah, because they can gain the confidence of, hey, yes, this is a legitimate goal, and now I'm not the only one that knows about it, so now I'm accountable to other people. So I want to make sure that I hit the mark and deliver not only to myself, but to everybody else that now I've let know that that's important.
Yeah. Well, cool stuff. Again, check out Colter and find the group. If you have questions, ask me, ask Colter. We'll get you to the group. But it's the times I've gone, it's been very impressive, and I just love what you're doing. So anyway, I'm Tyler. This is my buddy Colter. Anything else parting words wise? I think the fear talk was really good. So
you know what? This is a lot of fun. I appreciate the Riding the Bug. What a cool classic. And you know what? I think it's awesome that you're chasing the conversation with people and that are making good, that are doing good by the community. You're doing awesome. I love it. I love seeing what you're doing and watching your videos, and so appreciate being a part of it.
All right, appreciate you, brother. All right, have a good day.